being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. Then when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday to everybody. Happy Football University Monday. We finally made it. It's Super Bowl week for Super Bowl 57. I'm your host, Matt Caddell, and welcome to Football University with Matt Caddell. Shouts out to all the student section. This is Football University, where we bring everything. We talk about football. We had Jason Campbell on last week. This week, we're basically talking Super Bowl, and we got to get it rolling. So we had a crazy weekend, had some Bama news, and then we saw the Pro Bowl game, so we'll get into that and talk about that later. But like I mentioned earlier, it is the Super Bowl week. We finally made it. Listen, the teams arrived yesterday in Glendale, Arizona for Super Bowl 57. And, I got to start. If I'm talking Super Bowl, I got to shout out to Jalen Hurts. Roll Tide Roll to all the student section. Nick Saban, William Brown, Todd Coburn, Cindy Reed. Please hit that like, subscribe. But let's start with this matchup between two top players. I mean, two of the top players at the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. But I got to start with Jalen Hurts, Mr. J Cool or J Smooth, as you want to say it. Always calm and collected, has been in this position at Alabama. We've seen him just be so calm, cool, and collected. But I think this matchup is so intriguing because you have Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. We know Patrick Mahomes is probably going to win MVP, but Mahomes can do it all. And this quarterback matchup is so historic. I mean, the first black quarterbacks or African-American quarterbacks playing against each other. But you're getting whoever wins this game. I think it's a win-win situation. I got the Eagles pick, so fly Eagles fly. To all the Eagles fans, that's who I'm rolling with in the Super Bowl. But the Chiefs, man, they are a team to not be reckoned with, led by Patrick Mahomes. And I want to talk about these QB matchups. I mean, Jalen Hurts, the way they run their offensive scheme, the offensive line, the Eagles are going to try to run the ball with Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, these guys know how to get it. And they have the play action pass. So with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. So the Eagles offensive game with Jalen is going to be interesting. But on the other hand, this is what we do at Football University. the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, Patrick Mahomes. They just Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's going to be important for them to see if they can run against this vaunted Eagles defense. But listen, I know McCole Hartman's kind of injured. Kadarius Toney's kind of injured. They've got some other guys, Watson and Sky Moore, and obviously Travis Kelce. We know Travis Kelce is going to get his due diligence. But man, this quarterback battle. Listen, you're going to be in for a treat come Sunday on Super Bowl between Jalen, Patrick Mahomes. It is going to be so interesting. But I'm rolling with the Fly Eagles Fly. I think they have the advantage. I think the Eagles have the best roster, and I think it starts up front with the offensive line. Bringing it back to Alabama, Jeff Stalin, who used to be the offensive line coach, Landon Dickerson, Jalen Hurts, those guys, I think they're going to try to impose their will against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. So let's get to the student section. We got a lot of roll. Eagles roll. That's what I'm saying. Eagles rolling with Bama, baby. Fly Eagles fly to all the Eagles fans. Nick Saban Jr. said, who has the better defense and what's it's going down to come down to? I mean, I totally agree. I do think that's what it's going to come down to the better defense. And that's why I'm rolling with the Eagles on this. I do believe the Eagles have the better defense. You look at their defensive line. I think football starts up front in the trenches. I think that's what Alabama has always been successful with is in the trenches, offensive line, D-line. I think that's what we're kind of getting back to, but we'll discuss that later. But if you look at the Eagles, they have the number one offensive line, and their defensive line is number one. I mean, Hassan Reddick, Ndamukong Suh, Brandon Graham, Sweat, Robert Quinn, all these guys are just getting to the ball. So I just think their defense has the advantage. Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson, even in the secondary, yeah, they are SEC built, Nick Saban Jr. So I'm rolling with the Eagles on this because I think they have the better defense as opposed to the Kansas City Chiefs. But there's always but. The Chiefs have played tougher offenses, if that makes sense. I mean, tougher quarterbacks, Herbert, Tua, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I think the AFC quarterbacks have been a little bit battle-tested, so I think that battles it out. But I'm still rolling with the Eagles, the NFC. I just think they have the better roster. They have the better offensive and defensive line, and I think the Eagles are going to run the ball and play action pass. Devontae, A.J. Brown. I just think the Eagles are going to roll in this game. But do not sleep on Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy. And since we're talking about the Super Bowl, I want to talk about another matchup before we go to the student section. I will say about the Jalen and Mahomes, we know Mahomes is having had that injury in the last game in the AFC Championship. He mainly was in the pocket most of the game. So I do think it's going to, which quarterback, whoever wins, is going to be the one who can make plays inside the pocket and outside the pocket. I think it is important for the Eagles defense to stop Travis Kelce. If you can keep Travis Kelce at bay, I see the Eagles really taking care of business versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But on the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to keep Jalen Hurts at bay, stop those runs. I mean, I just think the Eagles coming off going against the number one defense in DeMeco Ryans, who's now the Houston Texans head coach. Shout out to DeMeco. We'll discuss that later. I just think what they did, how they dismantled the 49ers defense, I'm going to roll with the Eagles. So be interested to look on Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, how they play in the pocket. I know a lot of people want to say the turnover margin, but I have seen both of these guys kind of still win games, and regardless of the turnover margin. So let's get to the student section. We got a lot of RTRs in these house. So we talked about Jalen. We talked about Mahomes, elite quarterback play. I mentioned how historic it is, how they play, inside and outside the pocket. I discussed the NFC quarterbacks. I think their road, the NFC, the Eagles' road, has been a little bit easier going against Daniel Jones, Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, Sam Howell, Carson Wentz, as opposed to the Chiefs where they're going against Herbert, Burrow, Allen. I'm talking about some top tier quarterbacks. So it's going to be an interesting game. So excited, so excited. Another topic that I want to bring up is the coaching scheme. So this game is going to be, this is what we do at Football University. We love getting into the schemes, the schematics, and I'm looking at these matchups, and I think the matchup is offensively. Nick Sirianni, Johnson, Shane Steichen, how they call their offense with Jalen Hurts. Like I mentioned earlier, I do see them running the ball, trying to impose their will. Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey at center, Mailata at tackle, Lane Johnson at tackle. The RPO game, I think they're going to try to just run it down Kansas City Chiefs' throat and continue to keep their offense. Have they been successful all year? But on the flip side, the Chiefs, Mahomes, it's hard to game plan versus Mahomes. So on the offensive side of the Eagles, you have Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen. Brian Johnson, the quarterback's coach, their offensive scheme versus the Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy, who I think should have been a NFL coach. Is past due for him. But that offensive scheme going against the Eagles defense, what are they going to do? I think they're going to have to try to find some type of running game. That's why I think Isaiah Pacheco is important. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is he just was cleared. He thinks he's going to be active this game, so that's going to help out the running game. Like I said, I think if Kadarius Toney plays, I think you see a lot more jet sweeps, a little bit trickery plays with Kadarius Toney. It would be McCole Hardman, but I don't know if McCole Hardman is going to play. So word on the street, he's on the IR. So McCole Hardman's out of it. But credit to Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, they know how to keep having different type of game plans for different types of players. So you got Watson at tight end, you got Sky Moore. They've got other weapons, so it's going to be important to see what those guys do. So, like I said, it's going to be an outstanding coaching scheme. Seeing the chess match between the offenses and the defenses, like I said, I just think Philly's going to try and just come out there and be physical and out-physical the Kansas City Chiefs defense and keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. So that's what we do at Football University. Now let's get to the student section. Let's see, Roll Tide people, Mahomes and Jalen fixing to face off two Texas boys going at it in the Super Bowl. Shouts out to Texas football. We know Jalen Hurts from Channel View High School. We know Lane Kiffin went to go recruit him, and he came to Bama and was so successful. SEC Player of the Week, won a SEC Player of the Year, won national championship, won 2 SEC championships. This guy is just unreal. And I'm so glad to see Jalen. So I think the Eagles are going to fly. Eagles fly in the Super Bowl. So we talked about the schemes. We talked about the systems. We talked about, the quarterback play. I want to get to special teams. And I think this game, both special teams are kind of equal, in my opinion. Both have great kickers. They have good punters. The punters don't have to punt much because the offense has been putting together a lot of points. But I do think this is an evenly matched special teams matchup. So I just think it comes down to the offenses, who's going to be able to run the ball and keep the other team's offense on the field, on the sideline. So let's go. Sweet Home Bama has a really good comment. Says, well, we talked about Mahomes and Jalen. The X Factor. This is the comment that I want to bring up. Who are your X Factors or X Factors for the game? Nick Saban Jr. says his is Ndamukong Suh. For the Eagles, my X Factor, I think it's going to be Kenneth Gainwell, the running back. I think he comes and do a lot of explosive things kind of what an Isaiah McKinnon likes to do for the Chiefs, explosive pass game. If you go back and watch what he did versus the Chiefs. I'm talking about going against the top linebackers, and been raving about the San Francisco 49ers and the D'Amico Ryans-led defense, Nick Bosa, Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Armstead, all this vaunted defense. And listen, Philadelphia made them guys just put it to them. I mean, couldn't be stopped passing game. We know Devontae, AJ Brown. I mean, they have a system offensively. So my X factor is going to be in the running game is going to be Gainwell. In the passing game, I think it's going to be Devontae Smith. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you got to try to stop AJ Brown. I mean, you just can't let AJ Brown beat you. But I just think Devontae is going to be having probably a clinic game. Again, you know, he always plays well in these big games, whether it's a national championship, catching the game, winning, or it's another national championship where he had like 350 yards by the second quarter versus Ohio State. So in the run game, I'm going to say Kenneth Gainwell. For the Eagles. In the passing game, I'm going to say Devontae Smith. For the Chiefs in the running game, I think the X factor is going to be Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's going to have to run. He's a hard runner. I think he's going to have to be that guy. And I think in the passing game, you know, I think if Kadarius Toney is healthy, I think Kadarius Toney is going to be the X factor. Student section. Oh man, we got some real deal fans. Brittany B says Goddard and Smitty. Listen, and thanks for that comment, Brittany B. You know, you look at Goddard, you look how they use the tight end play action. They love to get Goddard rolling early. Smitty, I think the Chiefs are going to have to try to take away A.J. Brown. If not A.J. Brown and Devontae, A.J. Brown and Jalen are going to air it out, bombs away. But I just think Smitty is just going to be – I just think he's going to be a mismatch that the Chiefs are not going to be able to match. I think the Chiefs are a little shaky on the back end. I mean, they got great players, but then that opens it up. To your point, Brittany B., Dallas Goddard, Smitty, once they start rolling, it's going to be crazy. Let's get to the section before we go to our next topic. Hit that like, subscribe button. Please. Cindy Reed says, hey, Bama Nation, I think we have found a chat without the UGA trolls. Listen, Cindy Reed, we had the Georgia trolls in here doing right before all football season, so they were just giving us a hard time, but it is what it is, but we're going to talk college football here shortly. Some exciting news concerning Alabama, but keep the comments coming. As I get to my next topic, we talked about the run game. We talked about special teams. I want to take a different since we're talking Super Bowl. And we know the Super Bowl's in Glendale, Arizona, Super Bowl 57, opening night tonight. So you're going to have all the media from all around the world interviewing players. I think, Jalen is kind of like the most incredible man right now. Him and Patrick Mahomes, everybody wants to see these guys. But I want to shift my gears to the Super Bowl. And got me thinking, we know Rihanna is the halftime show. So I was thinking today as I was working, and I was like, only thing I need Rihanna to do is just play her tops, work, Umbrella, just so many classics. And I got to say, I think it's going to be more of a like fashion show type deal. But the question is, I think she's going to bring out some artists, and I think she's going to bring out Drake. So I want to say I wouldn't be surprised if you see Drake, maybe a few other artists featured in the Rihanna show. But that's what we do at the Football University. We break down everything. Like I said, I told you earlier, we're breaking down everything when it comes to the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't be surprised if a Drake sighting is there for the halftime show. I think it's going to be epic. Rihanna, just play all your old classics. That's all we care about. You're going to crush it. But I had to get that in. So speaking of the football, NFL, they had the NFL Pro Bowl games. And as me, I grew up a traditionalist, missing the Pro Bowl games where they used to play in Hawaii. so many points when it actually mattered. That's how I grew up in the NFL. But we know things have evolved and a lot more different things where they're not even playing the games anymore, Harley. So they've gotten these Pro Bowl games and um, uh, so the Pro Bowl games, and I don't know what your thoughts were, but having to see them play 7-on-7, it was pretty interesting. I would get on how the Bama guys succeeded. I mean, Bama is basically DBU. We have the top two cornerbacks in the league, Diggs in NFC and Patrick Surtain in AFC, and they both had a pick. And I gotta give shouts out to Patrick Surtain. He went one-on-one with Justin Jefferson, who is probably if anybody's going to say he's the best receiver in the league. And just shows you how good Surtain is. Surtain locked him down and picked it off. So, man, it was just beautiful. But the Bama guys, Bama is DBU. I had to just give a shout out to Alabama. Patrick Surtain, Trevor Diggs, Minka Fitzpatrick, Marlon Humphrey. That's 4 right there. Quentin Williams, Jonathan Allen. Who else? Quentin Williams, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, CJ Mosley was out there at linebacker. He did shouts out to the Bama players, but the Pro Bowl games had a different format. But to me, the most intriguing part of the Pro Bowl games, I mentioned the 7-on-7, the dodgeball. I think the NFL is on to something. I think they should have more games. And this is what we do at Football University. We discuss everything and anything football. The Pro Bowl games, I love the dodgeball. To me, the dodgeball was the most important thing. I mean, what kid doesn't have that childhood memory seeing people getting beamed by dodgeballs? I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, seeing different type of athleticism, I got to say, Saquon Barkley was out there like the Matrix. He was like Keanu Reeves, dodging the balls left and right. I mean, this guy is legit. I mean, I would sign him to a long-term contract just by off dodgeball. But so entertaining. But they had so I wanted to say I would like to see the NFL not only stick with dodgeball, but how about kickball? I mean, what about some 3-on-3 basketball? All these NFL players think they can all hoop. You had Tyreek Hill tweeting saying, "I'm the best hooper in the league," and all these guys. I'm like, I want you, hey, commissioner, listen to Football University. We will give you ideas. So I will say this. I mean, 3-on-3 basketball would be crazy. I mean, that would just be so entertaining. Maybe a little kickball, but different stuff. I think we'll just keep the fans entertained. I don't know your thoughts about the whole 7-on-7. It was cool, but it just made me miss the old game, just actually seeing pads and guys hitting. But I wanted to bring that up. So that's what we do at Football University. So let's go to my next topic. Let's go to the student section real quick before I get to my next topic. Brittany B said, I want to hear "Better Have My Money." Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a classic. What's my name? Oh, nah. That's gonna be a classic. I mean, I'm excited. Riri has a great catalog. I just want to hear her bangers. Cindy Reed says, "I've always loved Jalen." I mean, I agree, Cindy. There's so many. I think I read a poll today where they had which states are picking the Super Bowl, and the state of Alabama is rolling with Philly. So fly, Eagles, fly. But all these Oklahoma fans that are saying, "Oh, we claim Jalen, da-da-da." Y'all picking the Chiefs. So, I mean, if y'all love Jalen so much, why not rolling with the Eagles? But to your point, Cindy Reed, we do love Jalen. And, speaking of Jalen, how awesome would it be to have Jalen, win the Super Bowl, and he'll join the likes of the Alabama quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl, Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Kenny Stabler, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, those are Alabama legends. And so, I mean, I got a feeling that the Jalen Hurts will be hosting that Lombardi Trophy come Sunday. evening. So pretty cool. So somebody said, "Where's Lori?" I don't know where's Lori at. How do you like the format with the big guys, the Pro Bowl games? I could have used it a little bit more like of I know they did like some weight things. I could have loved to see some like big guys doing little guy stuff like agility drills, see who's got the fastest time, little stuff like that. I think that's kind of how you get the big guys, because the big guys need to show love too. They're just as athletic as some of those other guys. So it will be interesting to see. But yeah, so keep the comments coming. Let's see what Nick Saban Jr. Sidney Reed said Jalen claims Bama. We know he claims Bama. An interesting story about Jalen. I read that Coach Saban, we talk about Coach Saban getting back to being militant and being more involved in the program and talking about the fourth quarter program. And for a lot of you fans, listen, the offseason is, as a former player, that's some of the hardest time. I'm still talking to some of my old teammates, and we're talking about how hard the offseason is, and like fourth quarter mat drills. I mean, this is the time of the year where you just grind. So cool story. I read that Coach Saban, before he had a team meeting and he put up the Jalen Hurts interview when he had the Alabama gear, the fourth quarter gear with, commitment, determination, relentless. I mean, all those four core principles. And, it's just good to see Coach Saban, tapping into a guy like Jalen Hurts and showing how he claims Alabama, because he graduated from Alabama. So, I mean, kudos to Jalen, but I thought I'd share that story. So keep the comments coming. Need to get destroyed from YouTube to host one-on-ones for the Pro Bowl. Yeah, that would be interesting. I will say I thought my biggest thing on the whole Pro Bowl is, man, I'm so tired of seeing Peyton and Eli Manning. I mean, I love you guys. Whoopie whoop. Y'all need a co-host, Football University. Come on, Football University. Talk to me. I love you guys. But I feel like it's so much Manning. It's like every commercial, every time I cut on the TV, it's Peyton and Eli. I'm like, this is insane. So, I mean, I'm going to respect their hustle, but man, that is a lot. That is a lot of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. Whew, I did not know they had so much TV time this year. So, but interesting. Let's see. Let's get to we got some great comments in the student section. Stephen Hicks said Jalen wore Bama gear in his interview. Enough said about that. I mean, we all know Jalen. Alabama loves Jalen Hurts so much. I don't think people understand the love that Alabama has for Jalen Hurts and Tua. I mean, they both have a lot of love, but Jalen has been special to a lot of Alabama fans. So Alabama fans just love his character, his relentlessness, how he can continue to develop. I mean, this guy made Coach Saban cry after the SEC championship game. I mean, who does that? This just shows you how much we love Jalen Hurts. So shouts out to Jalen Hurts. Sweet Home Bama 22 says X Factor for me in the Super Bowl. The three horsemen from Tuscaloosa, Hurts, Dickerson, and Slim Reaper. I agree. Listen, the Eagles, man, I think they have the best roster. And Dickerson, I know he was kind of battling the injury, but we know how Landon Dickerson is. This guy played in the SEC championship, got hurt. The next couple of weeks the last play in the national championship versus Ohio State. So, nothing's going to hold Dickerson back. He's a different type of breed. And we know Devontae, the Slim Reaper. I think he's just going to have a big game. I think it's going to be hard for that secondary to stop this excellent route runner, great hands, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, I just see him really attacking that defense of the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's get to the student section. 6-0 says in the fourth quarter, Alabama, you got to grind down. You got to be unstoppable. Jalen would bring that to the table come Super Bowl all day. I mean, RTR, I agree with you. 6-0, I totally agree. I see Jalen, not only Jalen, but as they said, all the Bama guys really showing that Bama mentality. You know, Devontae Smith had the great quote after the NFC Championship game. They interviewed him. They said, where do you and Jalen get this type of, you know, relentlessness, this competitive, want to be dominant mindset, and where did it start from? And the Devontae had the greatest quote. He says, "Bama," and then he grins. I mean, it's just love. I mean, just silence all the haters out there. So we're pulling for you, Devontae. Landon here at Football University. We're rolling with the Eagles, man. Fly Eagles, fly. We got the Eagles over here. Let's go to James Knox. He says, shouts out to James Knox. He says, we hear about Bryce's dad. What about Jalen's dad? Influence on his career. I mean, Jalen's dad, I mean, to have the great impact, it shows. We see Bryce's dad, but Jalen's dad was a high school coach. He was Jalen's high school coach at Channelview High School. I mean, he's always taught him. So Jalen is a true coach's kid and a true student of the game. We know he's just a beast when it comes to the weight room, squatting, 500, 600 pounds, even when he was young. So the mentality that it has, I think it just goes to show you what type of character that Jalen has. His dad has led him and raised up a great young man to really be a great person in this world. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's ready for these big stages. You looked at his freshman year. I mean, we should have won a national championship against Clemson. Jalen scored the touchdown with like 2 minutes left. You would think only thing we had to do was just stop Clemson from scoring. And that was one question I always had about Pruitt. But we're going to talk about Pruitt. I don't know how – I can't believe we lost that game to Clemson in Orlando. But it is what it is. But, man, Jalen's, yeah, shouts out to all the fathers out there. Fathers, you are important to your kids. And so shouts out to Bryce's dad as well as Jalen Hurts' dad. I believe Avarian Hurts is his name. So, Coach Hurts, we're big fans of you out here. So, let's get to my next topic. I want to talk about who's going to win the matchups. I think this is where I think the Eagles have the better matchup. I think they have the better matchup on the offensive line. I think they have the better matchup on the defensive line. I think they have the better wide receiver matchup, especially with McCole Hartman not playing. Kadarius Toney, we don't know how, is he going to be 100%? So, like I said, I think the Eagles have that matchup. And the secondary, I think the Eagles have the advantage there. Bradbury, Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson. I just think they have, with John Gannon as their defense coordinator, I just think the Eagles have the advantage. Now, Chiefs, I do think they do have the Super Bowl experience. This will be their third Super Bowl in 5-6 years. So they do have that experience. And I do think Mahomes, him being the MVP, he's seen every type of defense. I would say, man, Mahomes probably has the Chiefs probably has the QB advantage, but it's going to be interesting. But I mentioned everything, all the advantages I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles have. So that's what we do at Football University. So it's pretty crazy. So I wanted to shout out my next topic. I wanted to shout out D'Amico Ryans. Let's give a round of applause. D'Amico Ryans, my former teammate, is the head coach of the Houston Texans. And it was just an awesome scene, to see him and his beautiful wife, his family, seeing my old teammate, guy from Bessemer, Alabama, went to Jesselnier High School. I mean, such a awesome guy, God-fearing man, relentless competitor, intelligent, just real cerebral, very observant, well calculated, methodical. I mean, this guy just gets it. And Just so proud of D'Amico. So RTR, D'Amico, we're proud of you here at Football University. And again, hey, if you need a GM or you need a scout or, head of player personnel, reach out, tune in to Football University. Give me the call, D'Amico. I'll have my resume ready for you. But I want to shout out D'Amico. I mean, it was just good. I think he was the right hire for Houston to really get some stability, new energy. All the fans just wanted D'Amico Ryans. The owner wanted D'Amico Ryans. He believes. I think he's so excited, but only thing he needs to do with the number 2 pick, draft Bryce Young. I'm quite sure you have everybody in Tuscaloosa, in the state of Alabama, with Bryce Young jerseys. I mean, how cool was that to have, an Alabama guy as your head coach and an Alabama guy as your quarterback. So RTR, to all the Alabama fans out there. So shouts out to D'Amico Rounds. And then the other coaching news, besides D'Amico, the big news, Sean Payton becoming the head coach for the Denver Broncos. I think that's a good hire. And he had his press conference today, and he was talking some cash money. They asked him, who do you pick to be the Super Bowl pick? He said, I'm picking the Eagles. And that in the AFC, they're in the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so he's basically already taking shots and saying, I don't want nobody in our division to have any success. So, wow, big Sean Payton's coming to change some things. They have a good defense. Pat Surtain, I mentioned earlier. They're offensively Jerry Jeudy. I think it benefits Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to have an all-pro type year next year. I don't know what they're going to do at the quarterback position. I think they stick it out with Russ, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get another quarterback. You never have enough good quality quarterbacks. I don't know if you can get a Derek Carr or somebody like that, but so interesting to see. And where does Aaron Rodgers go? Does Aaron Rodgers I wouldn't be at the Pro Bowl games. They interviewed Devontae Adams, and he said, "Listen, I'm the biggest reason Aaron Rodgers needs to come to Vegas." So I don't know. I know the Oakland Raiders have the number 7 pick. I don't know if they spend it on a QB. Me personally, I would if I can get a Bryce, but maybe they try to get a Rodgers and work on getting a young quarterback later. Maybe next year's draft or something like that. Maybe a Drake May or a Caleb Williams, or maybe what's his name? Bo Nix. Shocking, I know, right? The guy turned his career around going to Oregon. But enough about that. So let's get to the student section. Let's see. We got a couple of RTRs. James Knox says, really hate what's happening with black head coaches in the league. It is what it is. It just comes down to the owners. I just think we have to celebrate the wins that we do have and, still, fight the good fight. So that's why I wanted to give my shouts out to D'Amico Ryans, because D'Amico is deserving. He's a really good quarterback. He's going to be a really good head coach. Fundamentally sound. Very smart. He has a vision. He has a plan to build out. He learned from Shanahan, John Lynch, how to have good front office people, how to acquire talent. And he's already said he's going to be physical on defense. So he's going to be invested in defense. And I think he's going to bring in the right fit for the offensive coordinator. I just hope he gets Bryce. But, yeah, to your point, James Knox, it is what it is. But, we just got to keep rolling and celebrate the wins when we can get it. But I still think, me personally, if I'm an NFL owner, Eric Bieniemy will be my head coach. This guy gets it, offensive mind. You can get in a young quarterback. I think Eric Bieniemy should have been a head coach, but it is what it is. We're going to keep fighting the good fight. William Bryan says, Matt, are you going to play in the USFL? No, I'm not going to play in the USFL. No, my football days are done. Now, if they needed a coach, if they needed a broadcaster or a commentator, call me. I'm your guy. Call me USFL. I sound like Alexander Shinara. But listen, my playing days are over. But I love the coach. I love the coach, whether it's at the high school level, pee-wee level, middle school level. If I can help team win, score points, I'm all for it. So Spencer said, James, I agree with you. Things are getting better at the college level. RTR, RTR, RTR. So let's get to the point. Alabama fan, let's shift from the NFL. Let's shift to the big news this weekend. Coach Saban, playing close to the vest. People were thinking it was going to be another offensive coordinator and all this stuff. And we got Tommy Rees, the coordinator from Notre Dame. And can I just say, I don't care what nobody says, Alabama is the #1 brand, second to none, no matter what David Pollack says. Alabama flew their private jet, Alabama plane, in the South Bend, Indiana, like it was nothing. Like, who does that? Like, that is like some, like, excuse my language, that was some gangster move right there by Alabama. Only Alabama and Coach Saban can flex like that going into I'm talking about, these are blue blood programs. You look at blue blood college football programs. A lot of people are going to say Alabama from the South, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, and what, Texas? But Alabama really showing the flex off skills. I mean, flying the private jet to go get, not only this, Tommy Rees is an alum and he's coaching at his alma mater. And he's like, listen, I get to learn under Coach Saban, and I get to bring this offensive scheme and creative mind to T-Town with all those weapons. I mean, kudos to Alabama. I think Coach Saban got the offensive hire right. I was a big fan of Joe Brady and all these high, Garrett Riley and all these high offensive, high octane offenses. But I think Coach Saban is getting back to where we're running the ball, play action. And if we need to go RPO or high pace, we can do that. But I think Saban wants to be able to keep offensive drives going and be able to be creative and utilize the talent level. And that's one thing I got to say the new OC does. Tommy Rees, he was at Notre Dame and he did not have all the talent that he's going to have in T-Town. His best talent at Notre Dame was tight end, a few offensive linemen, maybe one running back. So when you're an offensive coordinator, when you don't have all the pieces, a great offensive coordinator, that's what we do at Football University. A great offensive mind is going to find ways to out-scheme. You still got to be able to make lemonade. If you don't have the lemons, you still got to figure out to score points, or you're not going to have a job. So, I mean, kudos to Tommy Rees. I think Coach Saban got the higher route right. Sorry. Just looking at how he's so creative. I mean, he does a lot of pre-snap motions, multiple formations, not just shotgun like Bill O'Brien, or not all the pass-heavy stuff. But we're going to be able to be like the Eagles are and just run and just go smash mouth and beat teams up and be physical and play action, and Malik Benson and all these receivers, Isaiah Bond, Prentice. I mean, it's going to be a matchup problem where we're just going to take it to these guys, and we're going to be so creative, a lot more pistol. I think Saban loved the pistol offense with Jim McElwain. We're going to get back to running the ball, being physical. And I think Saban learned all this just looking at what Kirby did. We have all these high offenses, but it's physical football is what's going to win. You look at the Eagles, like I mentioned earlier, with their running game, their offensive line. That's football. That's what makes football. So I think we're going to be able to have the high octane, but with the run the ball mentality. Tommy Rees, he knows how to out scheme without having the best talent. So that just shows you how great of an offensive mind. He's creative, play action, and he stays on his quarterbacks. I mean, it's a viral clip of him really on the phone with the quarterback, and he's chewing the quarterback out, saying, run my offense. Like, this is what we need to do. So I'm kind of glad to have that kind of energy energetic, enthusiastic coaches back on the sideline, and just having a creative mind. I think is going to improve. Sweet Home Bama 22 says, I'm excited to see how creative plays will be for the tight end. I mean, reminds me of, kind of Malcolm when, we played Florida in the SEC championship. We had Tebow Karan, just creative ways where he can just little things, leak a tight end out the flat. And I think it's going to help improve our tight end room. But I think he's going to use the tight. Not only is he going to use the tight end and not just have Latu go in motion, Bryce clapping the hands, and then we're snapping the ball with 2 seconds left on the play clock. I think he's going to use the tight ends in the right way. You look at a Dallas Goedert, a Kittle, a Kelsey. I think we're going to see a lot more of the offense, the tight ends being used, but utilized in the right way, winning different matchups. That way we can be even more effective on the offensive side of things. So I do think Tommy Rees will bring that. And, for me, what's important for Tommy Rees, and I wrote this down. I was thinking, listen, take concepts. I know you're going to be creative. I know you didn't have all the weapons, but now that you have all these weapons, continue to keep that mindset, having different game plans for certain type of personnel players that you have. And I think, Reese is going to be like a kid at a candy shop. I'm taking this. We're going to be so effective offensively that we're really going to get back to that physical brand of football and taking it to them, taking it to defenses and keeping our defense off the field. I think that was kind of some of the frustrations with Coach Bill O'Brien, 2nd and 2, and we're throwing the ball. And then now we have to punt, a lot of 3 and outs. Like, you can win, but you still need to be able to rest your defense, keep their team keep their defense on the field and wear them out. So by the time you get to the 4th quarter, we just put the 4s up and we're just dominating you. So I think this is a good hire. And I will say, I think it's important that Tommy Rees, keep those schemes and creative concepts, but at the same time, continue to evolve the offense and see what's working at the NFL level or the college level or the D2, D3 level, and incorporating that into your creative offense and keep the offense evolving. So I'm excited about Tommy Rees. Another coordinator hire we had was Kevin Steele. A lot of people were kind of freaking out when people were hearing the Todd Grantham news. We know Grantham's going to the Saints. So Saints fans, sorry, y'all got to deal with Grantham. We don't. But we end up getting Kevin Steele. And I know Kevin Steele was my D coordinator when Coach Saban first got there in 2007. And one thing I can tell you about Kevin Steele, he's a fiery guy. He's going to motivate you. He's kind of a rah-rah guy. But he's going to have a good game plan. He's going to have the guys in the right position. You look at this will be his 3rd stint with Coach Saban. So I think Coach Saban is going back to getting guys who are, energetic motivators who bring the best out of guys and know how to make adjustments and put the players in the best position. So, I do think a lot of people were like, oh, Kevin Steele, it kind of doesn't wow you. But I do think Coach Saban's got some up at the sleeve with Coach Pruitt, maybe as an analyst role. So I think Coach Saban's just, playing chess, and I think he's really looking at, what Kirby is doing, having Schumann, linebackers coach, co-D coordinator, Muschamp, special teams coach, co-D coordinator, and Kirby. So I think he's kind of looking at how's Kirby doing, how he has kind of a mixture of, 3 defensive minds. And I think Coach Saban is going to do that with Steele, Coach Saban, Armstrong, he's a fiery guy. He's a good coach, young up-and-coming coach who's going to coach the linebackers, I believe, but we don't know yet officially. And then if he brings on a Pruitt as an analyst, kind of have that, that brain trust for the defense to get them in the right place. And I think once everything works out, then hopefully we can bring in Pruitt to be the DC maybe after year one and whatnot. But I think Coach Saban's doing the best way. And we'll probably hear some news shortly. So I'm excited. So I had to cover that. So let's get to the student section. I want to know your thoughts here in the student section. Let's see. Roman Harper, Stephen Hicks said Roman Harper would be good, Spencer. Yeah. Van Edwards said Ed Reed for safety coach. I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I heard Deshae Townsend, he's a Bama guy, but Ed Reed, I don't know if he would want to come to Alabama, but man, that would be great for recruiting. I mean, with our safeties, Caleb Downs, all those guys, Malachi Moore. I mean, we could do a lot with Ed Reed, so that would be interesting. You never know what Coach Saban has up his sleeve. But we will see. Spencer, how about Roman Harper for safety coach? That would be pretty interesting. I don't know if Roman's big in the coach. Roman's doing big things. I think he got inducted to the State of Alabama Hall of Fame this year. So shouts out to Roman. But I think Roman's, he's doing so much on the media, the analyzing and commentating. I think he loves it at SEC Network. And but I mean, Roman would be great. He did win a Super Bowl with Sean Payton earlier. So I mean, he could help the safeties a lot. But I think he will continue what he's doing. But if Roman wanted to do it, I'm all for it. Man, I'm excited to see Alabama play a little bit tougher style of offense. I mean, I agree. I want to see Bama just physical. I mean, you look at the Eagles, and I gotta say it starts up front. I mean, I think we got a great offensive line coach with Coach Wolf. We got all these running backs. Like, let's just go out there and dominate and run the ball, and like they can't stop us. Let's just take it to these guys. And so I agree with you. Van Edwards and James Nice. James Nice says, great commentary. Appreciate it. James Nice says, how about we get back to make their quit? RTR. Yeah. I think that's what Saban's trying to get back to. I think in the age of all the high octane offense, one thing he learned and observed from Kirby is you can have the high octane offense, have a good balance of both, but running the football, old school football, defense, smash mouths, hitting people in the mouth is what wins in the SEC, and then eventually is what's win in college football. So to you guys' points in the student section, Van Edwards, I believe we're getting back to that. Got a couple more RTRs. Shouts out to everybody. Let's see. I want to bring this comment up from Nick Saban Jr. With his style of offense, it would be good to develop a quarterback in this system. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but like I said, I think it's up to, we can say it's going to be Jalen or Ty Simpson, but I think it's going to be up to which quarterback takes those horns. And I think we're going to need both. And I think the way this offensive coordinator, I think he's going to utilize both quarterbacks. I think one guy would have a bigger role, but I think he will be able to have two game plans, and he'll know what plays to call for best. Because as we know, we mentioned Jalen earlier, Jalen and Tua, you can never go wrong with having enough good quarterbacks. So I think that just keeps defenses on their heels, have to prepare extra work for them to have to prepare for your offense. So yeah, great points in the student section. Lori Caddell says, me too. I can't wait for week 2 for Texas. Coach Saban can start showing the preview of the rest of the year. Yeah, I'm excited to see somebody. William Brown said Tebow crying was the best. It was the best. I mean, I was at that SEC championship game, just felt great. But week 2 versus Texas, Texas fans are chomping at the bit and I'm like, listen, y'all coming to your town. We know that's going to be a crazy weekend. It's going to be crazy packed. But I do think the Tide will prevail. So, but yeah, great points. A few good points. Stephen Hicks said, we get our own line squared away, we'll be scared. I think we will. Name to think about Elijah Preacher. I think he's going to be a beast. Booker, all those guys. I mean, Seth McLaughlin, Caden Proctor. I think he's going to come in and play that left tackle. I think he's going to kind of have an Evan Neal type of impact. This guy's just one of the top offensive linemen in the country. So be on the lookout with Elijah Pritchard. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So I'm excited to see how this offensive line, but we got so many guys that can run the ball. I think Saban just want to utilize all these horses. I think that's something Bill O'Brien did not do, utilize all the horses and Jace McClellan and, Roydell Williams, Jamarian Miller. We got all these guys. I think Tommy Reese is going to utilize all these horses and let them run, because that's what we did in the past. Like, we had the high-octane offenses, but Jacobs would get off. Najee Harris would be getting off. We still had an effective running game to where we were just blowing teams out. And I think that's what we're going to get back to with these hires. I think that's what Saban's going to get back to. A lot of people say Ed Reed. Hell yeah. Nick Saban Jr. says still is a good DB. He still is a good DC. He will help develop talent. Has had a hand to develop a lot of good talent. Has recruited some big names, dudes like Lawrence Timmons from Florida State. Yeah, I agree. He's a good, solid defensive coordinator. But one thing I think he does bring that I don't think Pete Golden has is be able to make adjustments and really know just how to stop offenses. At the end of the day, you got to be able to just line up like, hey, we're going to put a spy on Jay Daniels. He's not going to beat us. Like, I think he has enough football IQ and experience to make those type of adjustments. And I think that's what Saban's looking for, somebody just who has football, how Coach Saban wants to run his defense, smash mouth him folks in the mouth, and be able to make adjustments where we won't have Hendon Hyatt and Hendon Hooker throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns for us on us. Like, that should not happen on the defensive end. We should be able to make adjustments or have, preparations to stop that going into the game. I think we're going to get that with this new defensive regime. So great point. Let's see. Sidney Reed says, I do, Stephen. If Pruitt is there, he's going to be working with the defense. Like I said, I do think Pruitt's going to find some capacity to be on the defense. A lot of people were talking in the student section, talking about how great of a recruiter Coach Steele is. Recruited guys like Marcel Darius, Marquise Mays. But one thing I love about he's a motivator, energetic guy, and I think that's kind of what we missed the past couple of years. We didn't have that energy, that enthusiasm, that just motivated and just getting us ready to go out there and play. Guys saying we had anxiety. Listen, with Kevin Steele is your D coordinator, it would not be no anxiety, and Pruitt coming back and all that. I don't think it would be any anxiety. It'd just be focused, ready, going out there and knock somebody in the mouth. So that's what we need on defense. We need not only good coaches, but we need motivators. And I think that's what Coach Saban is getting back to having those motivator, energetic guys that get in the players, what's, and make them go out there and, as you mentioned earlier, make their what's quit. So I think Coach Saban is getting it, those type of guys on the staff. So let's see. We got a few more. Stephen Hicks says 4 good running backs plus a running quarterback with slants and corner posts will be exciting to watch. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think a lot of things you can do by running the ball, but I think you're still going to have to be able to throw the ball downfield and be able to do both. I think game plans are going to change. The ebbs and flow of the game is going to change, but we can continue to implement Tommy Reese's system, running the ball, play action. Sometimes we'll beat you inside out. What I'm saying is beat you down the middle of the field where, the tight end, Coach Saban likes to attack the middle of the field. Not only will attack you inside the middle of the field between the hashes, but we'll be able to free up matchups on the outside of the hashes, force teams to, if they're going to try to stop the run, maybe they come in and press coverage, try to do more blitzes. then that opens it up for, a Malik Benson, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law. I think you'll see a lot of mismatches with. I think we'll finally be able to use Kendrick Law like Devo Samuels. That's my hope and prayer. But I think we're going to see a lot of creativity. I think Reese is going to see all the talent that we have. And he's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to use all this talent and have Alabama's offense up and running. Let's see. Let's go to this student section. Let's see. Stephen Hicks said, I just want to see fire in our coach's eyes again. Transfer to that players. And I think he will be. I mean, you look at our hires, I think Saban's kind of he's looking at what Kirby did and what type of coaches he has. He has, at the end of the day, in the age of NIL and transfer portal, what separates is you got to still have coaches that get on your players and keep the main thing the main thing. And I think that's one thing that Coach Saban is getting back to. So we're going to wrap these things up real quick. But what a great show. Super Bowl week. Like I said, I'm rolling with the Eagles fly, Eagles fly. I'm rolling with Jalen Hurts, Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith. I'm rolling with the Bama guys in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be interesting. So I want to, just shouts out D'Amico Rhines. Shouts out to the student section. RTR. Let's see how it's going to go. We got to enjoy this weekend because we won't have football for a while until the USFL. So tune in next Monday here at Football University. I'm here. It's been a pleasure again. Shouts out to all the student section. Thanks for tuning in. Spencer, Nick Saban Jr., William Bryant, Six Soul, Cindy Reed, AJ Jones, Stephen Hicks, Lori Caddell, Van Elwer, Spencer, William Bryant. You guys are just awesome. Brittany B, I believe. Shouts out to you guys. Roll Tide, RTR. Enjoy your week and enjoy the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be interesting. At the end of the day, enjoy football this weekend and come back next Monday again for another episode with Football University with me, Matt Caddell. Thanks.